Based on the title alone, there is no way I wasn't going to try You Suck at Parking, a game that just recently released to Xbox Game Pass, PC, and Steam. This is a car parking time trial game where you will attempt to park a certain number of cars in designated spots on increasingly more difficult levels. The better your time, the higher you climb on the leaderboards for each level, earning experience points along the way. There are several catches to the actual gameplay that makes this an intriguing endeavor, which we'll dive into a little bit later on. You Suck at Parking has really no interest in telling you to become a better parker. This is more of a trial and error experience. Quick side note, we have played a lovely little car parking game on this channel before, believe it or not, a couch co-op called Very Very Valet, which I'll link to here. Will You Suck at Parking be the best car parking game on this channel? Well, let's find out. The premise of You Suck at Parking is simple. On any given level, there will be anywhere from 2 or 3 to even a dozen parking spaces scattered about. It's up to you to find these spots and park cars in these spaces as quickly as you possibly can for the best time possible. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, it is at first. The game quickly ramps up the difficulty of these levels with obstacles that require way more technical precision than you might have been expecting. Cutting corners with perfect precision is a must if you want to climb the ranks. On the bright side, even the most challenging levels are only a couple minutes long at most, which when paired with the ability to restart the map or generate a new car in an instant alleviates some of the frustrations that would normally come when perfecting a level. Speaking of which, control-wise, the game mostly performs as expected, with the Micro Machine style of controlling your vehicle from above, which makes sense given your primary goals in this game. The other aspects of the controls are more of a mixed bag, with cars being a bit on the touchy side and the lack of being able to reverse at all, but these things fall more in line with the need to get used to camp than actually anything being wrong with them. After completing a level, the game immediately takes you to a universal leaderboard, which is a nice touch. You instantly know whether or not your completion time was any good or just good enough to get the "You Rock at Parking" slogan from the game for not crashing any cars on a specific level. After you've reached your limits on a certain level, you move on to the next one in the campaign. In addition to this campaign mode, there is also a limited but very fun multiplayer mode. This mode pits up to 6 players against one another on 4 random levels, Grand Prix style. It's a nice touch to mix up the puzzly gameplay of the campaign with more real-time racing, even if it is a bit limited in depth. That being said, the game developers are advertising additional modes and levels in the coming months, which could expand upon what this looks like. And that's pretty much everything You Suck at Parking has to offer. The depth will come from unlocking the various aesthetic upgrades to your cars to make them less bland, and mostly from high score chasing your favorite levels. As simple as that sounds, there is something super addictive and fun to getting that perfect run to place you in, say, the top 5% of all scores. And I personally really enjoyed the multiplayer and obsessed over it for the last week or so. It really is a lot of fun. For all the entertaining elements to You Suck at Parking, there are unfortunately several detractors that I have to mention. The first being the overall interface and navigation design. Not every game needs a battle pass or a season, and I strongly feel like it was shoehorned in here that both cheapens the presentation and takes away a lot of the charm. I get trying to give players enticing things to keep them playing, and so many games these days follow this format, but a battle pass for an action puzzle parking game feels weird to me at best and predatory towards your player base at worst. The second design choice that bothers me is the level selection hub. It's cumbersome to randomly drive around a mapless island hoping you just kind of stumble upon the next set of levels. It just feels weird and not well thought out and a bit unnecessary. A map or level select screen definitely needs to be added in here. And lastly, while I enjoyed the trial and error gameplay mechanics in general, At times, I do get frustrated when the slightest mistake forces countless restarts. I understand the appeal of this, and that is really the point of the entire game, and 90% of my time with it was a joy when trying to get a better time, but the other 10% will be frustrating when the smallest mistakes lead to the downfall of obtaining a perfect run. If you don't like these style games in general, ones that require you to fail over and over again, there is nothing that You Suck at Parking implements to really change your mind other than the slight distracting multiplayer mode if you want to spend more time with that than during the campaign. In the end, You Suck at Parking has more in common with time trial action games, such as the popular Trial series from Ubisoft, or my personal favorite Lonely Mountains Downhill, which I'll link to here, than it does with any sort of driving game. The addictive element of trying to find the quickest way to navigate a certain level and shave precious seconds off your high scores is a gameplay loop that may not be the most original, but I've never seen it integrated quite like this. The result provides plenty of entertainment for a $20 game, full of enough satisfying moments that kept me coming back for a while. It's just held back a bit by some strange and annoying design choices and the occasional frustrations with the controls and level design. Because of this, the resulting score here won't be super high, but it's still good enough, and if you are a Game Pass member and want to try something that isn't a huge time commitment, then it's definitely worth a download or even a purchase and a few hours of your time. Peace out.